Hey, good morning, everybody. 11:08 WTIC News Talk 1080. Will Marotta, your host. Matt Soroyce, our faithful master of ceremonies. There's a rally this afternoon, a rolling rally this afternoon at 5 o'clock in Hartford. And I think a lot of our, certainly national leaders, are out of touch with the frustration people are feeling. This was Nancy Pelosi yesterday.
And that's what we're saying. Look to them for answers. Don't look to them to place blame.
As you know, protests against the stay-at-home orders are growing across the country. People are taking to the streets, pushing back against some of the more stringent restrictions in some states. Can you understand why they're doing that?
No, not really, because what we have to do is...
Well, there you have it. She doesn't understand. Doesn't understand why people are frustrated. Doesn't understand why this is killing our economy. Doesn't understand why small business owners are hanging on, trying to keep their businesses above water while they're trying to employ their employees. Our national leaders don't get it. And sometimes, unfortunately, even our Connecticut leaders don't get it. So these rallies have been popping up. Our first one was in Michigan last week. We've got one here today in Connecticut, in Hartford. One of the organizers of that rally is Jonathan Johnson. I want to welcome Jonathan to the program. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Pastor Will.
Hey, in full disclosure, Jonathan and I have known each other for many years, so I wanted to get him on. I saw about the rally. I didn't know you were involved with it at first. Tell us, Jonathan, your involvement, and tell us what the purpose of the rally is today.
The rally is being organized by the Libertarian Party of Connecticut, and we believe that you have freedom and personal liberty every day, both when it's convenient and when it's inconvenient. And there's a lot of people who want to come out and rally for a multitude of different reasons. Most of what we're really declaring to the governor in this rally is that we have the right to protect our families and to run our business as we deem safe. And, we're rallying against suspending our rights to assembly and free speech. We're rallying against the restricted use of our public parks. We're rallying against initiating the use of drones and citations to enforce social distancing.
Yeah.
We're rallying against hindering our right to exercise religion freely. And we're rallying against any domestic spying being proposed to reopen our state economy, like GPS tracking and digital contact tracing. So really what we're calling for Governor Lamont to do is reopen all businesses now, allow citizens the personal liberty to make health, safety decisions for themselves and their families, restore our right to freely assemble in our homes, in our businesses, and in our faith communities, and reject any digital spying and electronic contact tracing.
Yeah.
So that's some of the reasons why we're rallying. I know, people have been affected economically by this. I think also what we really believe in is data fluidity, which is making a decision and adjusting course based on actual data and actual experiences. Yes. And we're seeing reports come out, such as the one, there was a study done in Santa Clara County, where they're saying that potentially this virus has been spread 50 to 85 times more than the actual number of cases that have been reported, been more widespread, been here longer. You look at the studies that have been done on the USS Roosevelt, you see that up to 60% of people have been asymptomatic, that have been tested positive. So we're seeing the real data, the real experience on the ground, and we're calling for an adjustment, of course. The IMF came out and said last week that we're going to be entering the greatest recession since the Great Depression with the economic damage that's already been done. So thank God that this virus hasn't been as deadly as projected. It's obviously tragic and sad for anyone who's lost their life. I mean, I have grandparents in their 80s. I wouldn't want anything to happen to them, and obviously urging them to stay home, social distancing, don't leave the house as needed. But we believe that people have the individual liberty to make those kinds of decisions for themselves. They can take personal responsibility to open their businesses safely and run their own lives safely. And that's what we're calling for Governor Lamont to allow the citizens of Connecticut to be able to do for themselves.
I mean, the actions that have been taken with this, Jonathan, are unprecedented. Back in 1968, long before your time, in 1968, we were assaulted by the Hong Kong flu. Had 100,000 deaths in the United States in 1 year. There wasn't this mass closures. I have an article from 2009 when the Center for Disease Control said they don't recommend closing schools. Do not close schools when H1N1 was at its peak before a vaccine was developed. You got to wonder why in the world. is there all this government overreach, and I rarely, I'm a conservative, I have a bit of a libertarian streak in me, but I rarely line up with the ACLU on anything. But I'm very much in akin with them right now because they, as you mentioned, they too are very concerned about this police state monitoring, surveillance, use of drones, all this electronic tracking. This seems like a tremendous amount of overreach for most people, I think, at this point. Don't you agree?
I completely agree with that. We look at the USA Patriot Act. You know, we put in these measures to allow the government to be able to have more overreach, and they've never rescinded that. In the middle of the night during the impeachment, that program got renewed again, and it's been renewed again and again and again. And we're setting a dangerous precedent if we're allowing the government more access and more rights to our GPS locations, our Bluetooth transmissions, socially, so those are all dangerous precedents. I think also what we were saying about previous viruses and experiences, we've looked at the projections and we see that if we have too much social distancing, we enter a second spike as soon as the universities and colleges and schools get back in session. So we have to make calculated decisions regarding this virus, believe that we need to build up some herd immunity in the low risk populations and demographics and continue to encourage people that are high risk, are at risk, maybe more advanced in age, to continue to stay safe, social distance, take all the precautions necessary. We really believe people have the individual liberty to make those decisions for themselves.
So this rally came up, I just saw, I think Thursday or Friday, I heard about it, and so it came up pretty quickly. I'm happy that there's a rally because of the fact that you're seeing it in other, certainly parts of the country, Michigan and Kentucky and different states. But I think between the things that happened earlier in the week and through yesterday, I think there's been about 9 rallies across the country and more planned, more happening. What are you encouraging people to do, Jonathan? When, where, what's it supposed to look like today?
We have very specific rules that we're asking people to follow as part of this rally. We're asking people to stay in their cars. We're asking people to keep traffic moving. We're urging them to obey all traffic laws and yield to all emergency vehicles. We want to keep this rally safe. We want to be principled. We want to protest what's going on, but we also want to make sure that we're putting a good face on protests, and therefore we're not looking for anything like Operation Gridlock and causing any kind of pandemonium. We want to have a safe, good rally that I want to bring my kids to tonight. And right. So that's really, our intention. The rally is going to be happening tonight. We're going to be meeting up starting at 4 p.m. on the streets, basically Elm Street, downtown Hartford, and around Bushnell Park is where we're going to meet up in our cars starting at 4. At 5 p.m., we'll roll out. There's a map that's been posted to the CT Liberty Rally page, ctlibertyrally.com, as far as the routes that we're going to be taking around the Capitol building. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll depart and head over to the governor's residency, where we have another route of rolling protests to participate in from 6 to 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know I've known you for a long time, so I know you're someone who deeply cares about these things. You believe what you're saying. This isn't just like off the cuff. But what would get you to get involved in this and help organize this kind of event?
I really truly believe in personal liberty. I really do believe that we should have as many freedoms as possible in this country, and I don't like my freedoms being taken away. I don't like being told, that I have to wear a mask on my face. I think that should be a personal choice. Obviously, there's medical conditions and social distancing guidelines. I understand what a guideline is, but we shouldn't be having to be forced to do anything, really. I really believe that we have personal liberty. And, my business is totally shut down, basically, at this point. And I understand based on the nature of I work in the event industry, so, people aren't going to want to have large gatherings, and that's their choice to do that. But there's so many people been affected by this economically. I really believe that the numbers and having a realistic projection going forward based on our actual experience with this virus should be taken into account more effectively. And we shouldn't be entering an economic depression when we could really avoid one if we just urge people to be able to reopen their businesses, go back to work, and take the necessary precautions to keep people safe while doing so.
Yes. So Jonathan, I want to go today. What do I do? I got a car, right? You got a car, I got a flag. What do I do? How do I hook up with you guys? How do I get in the flow here?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of detailed instructions on our Facebook page, which if you go to ctlibertyrally.com, it'll take you right there. Basically, we're just utilizing the public parking spots all along Bushnell Park to get everybody organized and meeting up. And then at 5 p.m., we'll have some lead vehicles who'll be rolling the rally out starting at 5. And we're following an exact map that we already laid out on our Facebook page as well. So really, you can just show up, park in the parking spots, and at 5 p.m. as we start rolling out, just feel free to take in the caravan, following all traffic laws as I.
And what time, Jonathan? What time are you suggesting people get there, arrive in the Bushnell Park area?
Well, we're starting at 4 p.m. We wanted to make it a little bit later in the afternoon to 5 to 7. So even if you're coming after work and if you want to come up to Hartford, please feel free to participate as well. We'll be meeting up starting at 4 p.m.
All right. Hey, thank you for doing this. I think it needs to be done. I think leaders need to know that people are concerned, particularly about keeping our small businesses closed and all the other issues we talked about. So best wishes tonight, and hope it's a huge turnout. It'd be wonderful to see that. Jonathan Johnson, Connecticut Liberty Rally. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a break.